everyone, my name is Hugo Leo. I'm a rising junior at Penn from Jakarta, Indonesia, which is where I'm at right now, as I won't be coming back to Penn, unfortunately, for the fall semester, which I know is a similar situation to what a lot of you guys are facing. But we'll get over this and hopefully we can welcome you back during spring semester. So, I hope that everyone has enjoyed International Student Orientation so far. The purpose of our Zoom tours around Philly is to basically introduce you all to our beautiful city and to our beautiful campus. And although it's held virtually, normally we hold these tours in person and we take all the incoming freshmen around the city using SEPTA and um, just to explore the city and its hidden gems. The virtual format is far from ideal, but hopefully it can give you all a good sense of the city so that once you hopefully can come back during the spring semester, you'll be well accustomed to the city. So without further ado, I'll just share my screen and I prepared a presentation. Today we'll be exploring Rittenhouse Square, West Philly, and Chinatown virtually. And so let me load up my presentation. So as you can see, we'll be talking about three areas near Center City, and West Philly is actually where UPenn's campus is located, which you'll see later on in the presentation. So let's start first with Rittenhouse Square. Rittenhouse Square is one of the 5 original squares planned by the city founder William Penn back in the 17th century. William Penn was actually the architect behind Philly's city plan. And Rittenhouse Square is one of the only remaining squares with the original design. And so it's really, I would say, the center of Philly. It also represents the more high-end portion of the city where you'll see high-end shopping options, dining options, and also a really nice park and really nice hotels and coffee shops nearby. It's Philly's most expensive neighborhood, and there are a lot of things to do in Rittenhouse Square, as you can see in this picture. You can go on a picnic, you can read a book, you can go jogging. These are some very popular activities that Penn students usually do in Rittenhouse Square. It's definitely a great break from campus. And so just a bit about how you actually get to Rittenhouse Square. So as you can see in this map, UPenn's campus is located near West Philly in University City. And actually you have to cross a bridge in order to get to Center City on the right side of the map, as you can see. And so the red label indicates Rittenhouse Square. As you can see, this small square. It takes around 15 minutes from campus, so quite close. And you can either take Uber or Lyft or SEPTA, but I would recommend just taking SEPTA. Maybe it's different during the pandemic, but usually SEPTA is the most convenient. It's the cheapest. It's $2.50 for a ride over to Center City. And you can also avoid the traffic by taking SEPTA. And sorry, hate this. All right, and the first activity I wanted to talk about is the Fall Fine Arts Show. So in the fall in Rittenhouse Square, hundreds of artists from around the country do what's called circling the square during the traditional Rittenhouse Square Fine Arts Show. So if any one of you are into fine arts or paintings, you can usually see during the fall this Fine Arts Fall Show where a lot of painters will sell their paintings. And that being said, Rittenhouse Square is also, I believe every week they have a farmer's market in Rittenhouse Square where they sell fresh produce and fruits. And so any time of the year, I would say, Rittenhouse Square is usually very vibrant, especially during the summer. And it's always full of activity. There's a hustle and bustle feel that I would say you can't really feel in other parts of Philly as you would in other bigger cities like New York. Then in the spring, you have Rittenhouse Row Spring Festival. And this is a very fun event, and it's one of Philadelphia's most popular events, which attracts around 50,000 people every year across the nation for one Saturday. And in this festival, usually you'll see the space occupied from Walnut Street, so from the Avenue of the Arts to all the way to Rittenhouse Square, where dozens of restaurants would set up shop along the sidewalks to serve up samples of spring fare, of spring snacks and food. And aside from culinary activities, you usually also see a lot of live music, fashion shows, and other activities, which makes this event very, very vibrant. I personally haven't been to Rittenhouse Row Spring Festival, but I would definitely love to visit one day. And next is Center City Restaurant Week. And Restaurant Week is actually a concept that you'll hear a lot of when you eventually come to campus. It's a popular week that's held twice, once in the fall and once in the spring in Philly, where a lot of Center City restaurants, the best of the best, they would sign up and participate in this and offer heavily discounted meals and also tasting menus for a week. And so you'll see the best restaurants, your favorite spots with heavily discounted prices, and usually Penn students would go along with their friends and sample a few restaurants. And a lot of these restaurants are close to Rittenhouse Square, which is why I'm pointing it out, but it's also true in all of Center City. And I just wanted to give you guys a taste of some of these restaurants. So some of my personal favorites include Double Knot, and Double Knot is a Japanese, I would say, fusion restaurant. It's sort of a more modern take into sushi and also Japanese cuisine. And I would really recommend going during the happy hours, during the weekdays from 3 to 5 p.m. Basically, during happy hours, you'll get heavily discounted meals and tasting menus, and you can really sample across their entire menu. You can get sushis and pork baos and vegetables and other Japanese food for a very, very discounted price. And some of the must-tries, in my own personal opinion, are the pork bao, the Kobe slider, and also my personal favorite are the edamame dumplings, which are an absolutely must-try. So if you guys end up being able to visit Double Knot, hopefully during the happy hours, you guys should definitely try the edamame dumplings. And another restaurant I wanted to talk about is Butcher and Singer. Butcher and Singer is an old Hollywood-style steakhouse known for its steak selection. And so during restaurant week especially, they have a really nice tasting menu with different steaks, pizzas, vegetables on the menu, which are really great and really great food to sample. So definitely recommend this Butcher Singer as well. And another thing you can do near Rittenhouse Square is going on top of the One Liberty or observation deck. And I would say that this is more so of a tourist attraction. It's 57 floors up, and it's also open 365 days of the year. That means you can climb up this deck during summer, during winter, during the fall, during the spring. And so you can really take in the entire view, a panoramic view of the city, and during the 4 different seasons of Philly. And so I would personally recommend coming up here when you first visit Philly, as well as when the season changes, maybe during the winter or during the fall, which is usually when Philly is most beautiful. Next is Reading Terminal Market. And Reading Terminal Market is also one of my personal favorites. It's a must visit during any trip in Philadelphia. And it is just a vibrant marketplace which is very, very historic. It features more than 80 vendors offering an astonishing variety of food, with some vendors operating in the same way that they did when the market opened in 1892. So it really reflects the historic and cultural side of Philly. The globally inspired food available for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as well as dessert, is the main draw, while butchers, bakers, chocolatiers, cheesemongers, and produce vendors offer food, ingredients, and goods for sale. I would personally recommend trying Dinnick's roast pork sandwich, apple dumplings from the Dutch eating place, and soft pretzels from Miller's Twist. So this is also another must visit near Rittenhouse Square. And now we move on to West Philly. And West Philly is actually the region, the area in which UPenn and other different universities such as Drexel are located. And so it's, as you can see in the map, University City is around this area, and Penn is, I would say, around this area, this region. And West Philly encompasses this entire area before you cross the bridge to Center City on the right. And so it's, I would say, in order to go to different areas in West Philly from campus, it would take up to 20 minutes away, and you can once again use Uber, Lyft, or SEPTA. It's the SEPTA system is definitely very convenient, and there are a lot of stops near campus. And so in West Philly, from campus, Clark Park, I would say, is around a 15 to 20-minute walk away. And Clark Park is a really beautiful park that is really nice for picnics and going jogging there is also really nice. It's actually a very historic place as well. It's been enjoyed by local Philadelphians since the late 1800s, and it's always bustling with activity, especially during the summer. You can see kids playing in the playground or the basketball courts. You can all year round. There are also festivals, flea markets, and theater performances and concerts, as well as a farmers market. And around this region, around this area, there are also a lot of really nice restaurants and shops. Some of which I'll be talking about later on in these slides. Then we have the Baltimore Avenue Dollar Stroll, and this happens, I believe, usually in the fall. The Baltimore Avenue Dollar Stroll showcases Baltimore Avenue businesses from Cedar Park, Spruce Hill, and University City, and basically you can get different items just at $1, and so you can get bites from signature restaurants, so food, pet supplies, theater tickets, and even things like succulents and paintings for a very, very cheap price. And this access to this evening festival is actually free, so I totally recommend just going over to visit. And you never know if there are any personal items that you might find interesting that you want to take back to your dorm. So if you're looking for any decorations for your room, I definitely recommend visiting this event. And in terms of food, there are also 30 top West Philly vendors with a lot of food trucks lined around the street. Food trucks is a big part of Philly, as you will see when you come over to campus. A lot of the personal favorites of Penn students in terms of food are usually the different food trucks lining up campus. Yeah, and in terms of food, also there are also a lot of international cuisine in West Philly. So I would personally recommend checking out Abyssinia, which is Ethiopian food, Chili Sichuan, which is Chinese food, and also Hadramaut, a Yemeni restaurant in West Philly. And pictured here is actually Kilimanjaro, a West African restaurant with Senegalese influence. I think touching back to this point, one of the fantastic parts of Philly is how it's really really globally and culturally rich, I would say. You can find any sort of cuisine within a 10 to 15-minute drive from campus. And personally, I'm Indonesian. There's great Indonesian food, for example, in South Philly. In West Philly, there's also a variety of international cuisine. And so I definitely recommend checking this out, the scene out, since it's very important to the city as well as its rich immigrant population. And next, I wanted to talk about Batcham's Garden, also located in West Philly. So Batcham's Garden is actually the oldest surviving botanic garden in the U.S. It was managed and founded by John Batcham in 1728. So it's a very historic garden. John Batcham and his family basically dedicated their lives to collecting and studying the native flora of North America. And then you can also visit the Philadelphia Zoo. It's one of the best laid out and most animal packed zoos in the country. And it's set among a big 42-acre Victorian garden with tree-lined walks and animal sculptures. So definitely it's a fun place to visit with your friends. Although I would say that probably the only downsides are the ticket prices. And so that's why maybe sometimes there are perhaps better activities that Penn students usually do in West Philly and around the area. But nevertheless, it's going to a zoo is always fun, and so it's a great activity to do with your friends. And now we'll move over to Chinatown. And Chinatown is a great area in Philly with lots of Asian cuisine. And Penn students specifically usually go to Chinatown for a variety of reasons, usually to eat Asian food, to go to karaoke's, and also to celebrate Lunar New Year every year for those who celebrate. And a bit about Philly's Chinatown. It was started by Cantonese immigrants who settled in the mid 19th century. And today the neighborhood is packed end to end with restaurants, stores, and schools that represent Hong Kong, Cantonese, Sichuan, and Taiwanese cultures, as well as a variety of other East Asian slash Southeast Asian cultures, such as the Korean, Thai, Malaysian, Burmese, Vietnamese, and Japanese cultures and foods that line up this entire area. And just to show you guys the map again, so most of Chinatown is located in this area on the map designated by Arch Street, as you can see. And it's about, and once again, the west portion is where Penn sits. Chinatown is around 15 to 20 minutes away by Uber, Lyft, or SEPTA. So very, very close to campus. And some activities that you can check out are dim sum. I would personally recommend going to Tom's Dim Sum Garden, and also Ocean Heart in China. A popular activity among Penn kids are also going to China for karaoke, and usually different clubs at Penn, they usually organize these events near recruitment in the start or during the end of the semester for end of semester celebration. It's definitely a very, very popular activity among Penn kids, and usually we visit. There's only two options that Penn kids visit, I find. It's either Red Kings or Ken's. So those are the two most popular karaoke options in Chinatown. And then, of course, there's Lunar New Year festival celebrations that happen once a year. And a Philly tradition is that during the midnight of Lunar New Year, there are annual lion dance celebrations. So during 12 a.m., the whole street becomes really vibrant. There's a lot of celebrations, and the entire street is also filled with food vendors and other performers. Next is the Asian Arts Initiative, which is also located in Chinatown. This community-based art center explores the diverse experiences of Asian Americans, addresses social context, and impacts the community in a positive way. The organization offers a full calendar of events, including art exhibitions, as you can see in this picture, public performances, and more. And so definitely would recommend exploring this initiative to find out more about um, Asian cultures and the different communities that and diasporas that make it up. And lastly, um, I definitely cannot miss desserts and bubble tea. It's definitely a great activity to go for in Chinatown. And some spots that I personally recommend are A la Mousse, which is what's shown as pictured. I believe this is the green tea cake and also ice cream, which is absolutely delicious. There's also mango mango, if any of you guys enjoy eating mango. And in terms of bubble tea options, there's Sao Cha, Kung Fu Tea, and Tito, which are some of the more popular bubble tea spots. So that's the end of the presentation for West Philly, Chinatown, and also Rittenhouse Square. I hope you guys enjoyed this short virtual Zoom tour. As I mentioned, ideally it would have been in person. So hopefully you guys have a better sense of Philly, and hopefully we can welcome you guys back during the spring semester so that we can give you all our own personal tours of some of these spots. And feel free to reach out to me over social media or email if you guys have any questions about any of these spots, or if you guys want recommendations once you arrive on campus. And also be sure to check out the next Zoom tour, which I believe will be tomorrow, but the recording should be posted up by the AIS team. All right, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great rest of International Student Orientation. Thank you all.